good. All right. Hello. Hi, guys. Welcome to day 10 of 21 Days to Magic. Today, I'm going to be talking about the art of shifting quickly. Now, I'm going to be honest, when I laid out this 21-day live series, I did not intend on talking about this. But I have had probably at least 5 people message me about shifting and how I go from things that feel really hard and really thick and really heavy to being able to reframe it and use it as something that serves me in my highest good. So I had so many people asking me about, getting out of tough situations and learning to rise above it, that I figured I had to add it into this series. So if you guys saw my Instagram stories, I actually shared one of the messages that I received about this and wanting to know my secret to shifting quickly. Now what's funny is I am kind of notorious. My mentor and I actually joke about it. Hi, Angie. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Allison. Hi, Chris. Thank you for tuning in. My mentor and I kind of joke about it because I'm sort of notorious for manifesting these tiny little bizarre things that kind of happen in my life. I'll first start off by saying that for those of you that have been with me from the beginning, that have followed me on my Instagram page and my Facebook page since early 2016, you guys will kind of know that, hey Caitlin, you guys will kind of know that I haven't always had it super easy. That I'm one of those people where if you've followed my journey, you'll probably have seen some of the things that have happened in my life, and a lot of people would probably deem those as bad, right? Now, hi Becca. Now, because of the work that I do, nothing is ever good or bad, right? It's just like hot and cold. They're just two different degrees on the same spectrum, right? Same thing as good or bad. So while I was in it, I was going through a lot of things that seemed bad. And for those of you that have been with me for 6 years now, you guys will know that I've really never had it super easy. But I've always been able, and I'm an Enneagram 3. So if you guys don't know much about Enneagram, I encourage you to read The Road Back to You. There's also several Instagram pages and Facebook pages designated to teaching you about Enneagram. Now, I'm an Enneagram 3, so I am a great reframer. I am someone that for most of my life, I didn't really heal or feel the things that I went through. I kind of just took what was going on, saw it, and figured out a way to reframe it. 3s and 7s are very similar. I'm a 3-wing too, so I'm a reframer. And that's just kind of how I've lived most of my life. Now, a healthy 3 is someone that actually works through the shit, feels what they need to feel, and heals fully. And then kind of ascends from there. But I lived most of my life as an unhealthy 3, but I didn't know it until I knew it, right? But my mentor and I now, we joke because I'm kind of notorious for manifesting these little tiny bizarre things that'll happen here and there that aren't really bad, and they're not really things that are astronomical, terrifying things, but for example, I flew into the wrong airport twice last year, but it's things where it's when it happens, I'm able to look at it and be like, this is interesting. Okay, what's gonna come from this, right? So I'm sitting on the airplane and all of a sudden the guy next to me tells me what airport I'm flying into, and I'm like, I did not think that's where I was supposed to fly into, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, holy shit, I can't believe I just did this, right? But within a moment's instant, I was able to say, okay, this is happening for me, not to me. What kind of amazing things are going to come from this? And then lo and behold, I was able to connect with a friend that I hadn't talked to in years. We were able to spend time together. She was able to bring me to my car. Everything's always happening for us, right? But it's funny things like that where now, since I've been doing this work, it's kind of a part of my brand that I manifest these little mini obstacles or these funny, bizarre things that happen to me. So now to take it from less of a light note to kind of a more serious note, if you guys followed what happened about 2 weeks ago with this anti-MLM group that was kind of harassing me of sorts, that kind of got way out of hand. I had so many supportive messages. It took me 4 days because I had over 200 messages. And some of them were messages about being able to take the situation that was happening in that moment, that was happening, firsthand in my physical reality, and be able to approach it from above and not from within, right? And just this ability to take what I was going through that was really, really hard and really scary in the moment, and then be able to, within a few days, shift out of it and grow from it and learn from it. Now, I have retrained my subconscious to have a new blueprint that says, whenever these things happen to me, that I'm always going to level up from it. That whenever these things that seem bad, that seem uncomfortable, that seem scary happen, that, it's gonna feel like shit when I'm in it. It's gonna feel really heavy and thick when I'm in it. It's not always going to be the easiest, and I have to feel what I'm going through, that I can't just brush it aside and try to move forward, that I actually have to work through it, because that's what a healthy 3 does, right? And I always want to practice what I preach. I never want to tell my clients to do something and then me not live that myself, right? So, I took 2 days off of social media to really process what I was going through. And then after those 2 days, I had worked through the shit that I had to work through, and I was able to come back stronger than ever, and then actually having one of the best months in my business that I've ever had, despite all of the crazy and bizarre things that had happened before. So with all of those amazing messages that I received, with just so much support, I also had so many ladies asking me, how do you do it? How do you shift so quickly? How do you go from a whole week of just batshit craziness, turmoil, heavy shit, to now being able to reframe it and grow from it, rise above it, and actually benefit from it? And so I took a lot of notes from what people had asked me to talk about and to cover. So if you guys see me looking at my notes, it's just because I want to make sure that I'm covering everyone's questions and giving you guys the best of me and the best of my energy. So I want to say, the first cut is always the deepest. I think that's a Sheryl Crow song, but it seemed so fitting because the work that I do as a spiritual mentor, as a mindset mentor, is I help my clients identify what they're going through and why it's happening from a standpoint of universal law. Okay, so from quantum physics. I'm not a certified therapist, I'm not a doctor, but what I do is I help my clients understand what they're going through based on what is going on in the world around them. Okay, so it's all energetics. And something that we talk about a ton in the spiritual world is something that we call shedding. Okay, and I know it's a weird term. I like to use the term shifting because it sounds better, but for the sake of this example, I'm going to actually use the word shedding. When we start to do this inner work, when we start to focus on our mindset and really dig deep into what our limiting beliefs are, what our subconscious blueprint is, why we think the way we think, why we do things the way we do, why we've maybe followed a certain path and not another, when we start to actually do that inner work, we are actually diving really deep into the inner parts of us, which again, they've been a part of our life since before we were born, right? These are things that are literally genetically ingrained in us because, our mom's beliefs or our dad's beliefs. So if your mom experienced trauma while she was pregnant with you, I know for me, my mom, my biological father committed suicide when she was pregnant with me. So I had a lot of trauma I didn't even know that I held based off of what my mom experienced while she was pregnant with me, right? So when I was starting to do all this work, I was getting really deep into the inner parts, the inner layers of my belief system. And these are belief systems that we've had our entire life. So when we start to do this work, it's really heavy. And you're going to feel I can't even explain it to you. I call it the spiritual flu. But the first cut is always the deepest. And because we're going into the inner parts of us and the really deep parts of our core, it feels really heavy. It feels really thick. So once we acknowledge what it is that we're working through, okay, so once we identify, okay, this is why I maybe have this limiting belief, or this is why I think or act or do things this way, then we have to begin the process of healing. And we can't heal until we release it. Now, why I like to use the term shedding is because I want you to think about a snake shedding its skin, okay? But I want you to think about it in terms of our human existence. A snake has to shed its old skin as it grows into a newer, bigger, more beautiful skin, right? But it has to shed its old skin fully before it can enter a new one, right? This is what we do as humans. So when we finally shed, one limiting belief, or we reprogram that part of our subconscious and we're able to release those past patterns, we have to release it fully. So what a lot of people see as chaos or see as the other shoe dropping is actually just the parts of your past playing out quicker. So this will, sometimes you're going to manifest like bizarre things happening in your finances, bizarre things happening in your physical space. Something I tell my clients all the time is a really good representation of what's going on in your mind and how clear-minded you are is look at the room around you. Is the room around you really neat and organized, or is the room around you really chaotic? Because our physical space is a direct reflection of what we hold in our internal space. But when we're experiencing this, it feels very flighty. Sometimes you have heightened anxiety. You can be a little more quick to anger. But we have to release those parts of our past first before we can up level, before we can enter a new level, right? And as entrepreneurs or anyone that's trying to ascend or scale any sort of business, we know that we're always shooting for the next level. But we have to shed those parts of our past first, and it feels really uncomfortable because we have to get rid of all of the janky old energy that was sitting with us for so long, right? If you've been holding on to a belief that hasn't been, our beliefs serve us to an extent, right? Our subconscious is always trying to protect us. Like, I think that when I talk about our subconscious, I give you guys this perception that our subconscious is an asshole. It's not. Our subconscious just always wants to keep us safe. So our limiting beliefs serve us to an extent, but when we finally identify those limiting beliefs and we release them, we're often releasing a belief that we've held for over 20 years, right? Like, I started doing this work when I was 27, so that's 27 years of limiting beliefs that I was getting rid of. You're going to go through a lot of shit. You're going to feel a lot of shit. There's going to be a lot of chaotic shit that happens, right? But so many people see that chaos and they think, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong, or they quit doing the work, or they think it's not meant for them, or they think that they're just destined to struggle, so they stop doing the work. But what I preach as a mentor is I tell them that the chaos is actually a good thing. This is all the bad parts of your past that are leaving you so that you can get to the better parts quicker, so you can get there faster. And once they acknowledge why it's happening, then they're able to say, oh my God, just on the other end of this uncomfortableness is so much more magic, okay? So part one of that example is the first cut is always the deepest. Now, I want you guys, I touched on yesterday's video, a little bit about people will choose to live their life comfortable because they don't want to get uncomfortable. But the best thing that we can do for ourselves is get uncomfortable so that we can live comfortable. And here's what I'm saying, is so many people will say things like, oh my God, I don't want to keep overdrawing my account, or I hate this job, or, why do all these things keep happening to me, right? But instead of doing something to change it, they actually choose to just remain the same. Because yes, overdrawing your account, it's not comfortable. Staying at a job that you hate isn't comfortable. Having a bunch of chaotic shit happen in your life over and over and over again isn't comfortable, right? But to your subconscious, it's comfortable because it's the only thing that you know. You've lived your life like that for so long that you've created a level of comfort with the uncomfortable ways that you've been living, right? And so it's hard to change. Change is not meant to be easy. Change is meant to change you, right? If I continue to tell my clients the same things over and over and over again to just affirm their same shitty beliefs that they've always been holding, they're never going to change. And change is where the growth happens, right? So we have to get uncomfortable for a little while, sometimes a long while, right? Like, it was like almost an entire year and a half of me doing a lot of deep inner, really heavy, really scary, thick work before I actually started to see the magic really start to compound and happen in my life, right? But I knew if I just stayed consistent that it was like dropping a pebble in the bucket. The compound effect was happening, and that the energy that I was harnessing then was going to create the future, right? And the future, now, the energy that I harvest now is some bomb-ass mother-freaking great energy that's going to create my future, right? And then once I get to that future, that energy is going to harness the next level, right? But I had to be uncomfortable for a really long time so I can live this comfortable life, which is more than comfortable, life now. And so many people aren't willing to make that sacrifice. I don't like the word sacrifice, but for lack of a better term, that's what it is. It's a sacrifice. And they do the work for a week, a month, 3 months, but they don't see the magic happening and they quit. Well, if you've been holding on to these limiting beliefs for 27 plus years, how do you expect your entire life to change in 3 months? If it didn't change in 27 years, what makes you think it's going to change entirely in 3 months? It's not. And so We're going to use the thorn in your arm as an example, okay? Let's say you have a thorn in the side of your arm, all right? Now, it's going to be really painful to pull that thorn out, right? Like, we're talking a big thorn, okay, hypothetically speaking. Big thorn, right? It's going to be really painful to pull that thorn out, right? And so you decide, instead of pulling it out, that you're going to bandage it up and you're going to put a box around it, right? And so now everywhere you go, you are constantly catering to this arm, to this thorn in your arm, right? You have a box around it, and you're constantly making sure that people aren't bumping into you, and if you bump into a wall, it kind of stings a little bit, and everywhere you go, you're so worried about anything bumping into this box or this bandage around the thorn in your arm, right? But it's like a pain level 5. As opposed to the pain level 10 that you're going to experience for a little while if you just pull the thorn out, but eventually it's going to heal. Yeah, it's going to bleed a lot. It's going to be really painful. It's not going to feel good at all when you pull it out. It's going to be really scary. But guess what? A week from then, a month from then, a year from then, you're not going to have to worry about the fucking thorn in your arm, right? Because you did the work. You pulled it out and you let it heal. So sometimes we have to do the really uncomfortable, the really hard thing in order for us to evolve and grow into the people that we want to become, right? And so these are all things that, yes, I've been working on consistently for, 2 years now, but these are also things that I hold on to as hope when I'm having a really bad time. When I go through shit that feels really uncomfortable, I just remember how far I've already come, and I remind myself that not every day is going to be easy. But if I stay consistent, if I stay persistent, I'm going to get to easier, better times. And so by just doing this work consistently and showing up consistently, even if I have a bad day, I hold on to that belief as hope, right? Nothing about universal law or quantum physics or, the law of attraction is actually true. The only reason that it's true is because we believe it's true. So when you do this work, you can take on any belief system that serves you if it's going to give you hope and give you faith to get you to the next level. I call my business Next Level Magic, and this is called 21 Days to Magic, but all magic is believing in miracles. And believing in miracles is simply just having unwavering faith. And so I just choose to have unwavering faith every single day because I know that that's what's going to carry me through, right? Because I know that no matter what, I'm always supported, that God's always got me, the universe has always got me, okay? So that was point number 2, is you got to just take the thorn out of your arm. You can't box it up, you can't bandage it up and live that way forever. If you plan to fully heal, if you plan to fully live the most abundant and blessed life that you can, you have to just pull it out, right? So then the next topic is, or the next point to this topic is that the art of shifting quickly is like working a muscle, okay? Now, the more layers that you peel back as you do this work, the easier it becomes, right? Like when you first start to do this work, you're doing the really hard inner work, right? Because some of the biggest limiting beliefs that you're going to hold on to, and probably some of the first ones that you're going to release, are the ones that you've been carrying around since early childhood, right? Like, why do you have shitty money beliefs? Why is success so hard for you? Why are relationships so hard for you? Oh, what were your mom's finances like? What were your dad's finances like? What were your parents' relationships like, right? And so then once you can break those down and identify what those limiting beliefs are, you'll know that those have been with you since you were a child, right? So, but the longer you do this work, you're starting to peel back more and more layers. And so instead of like getting to the core every single time, you're now just peeling back layers. So it becomes easier to shift. It becomes easier to shed those old layers quicker because now you're not shedding shit that's so deep all the time. Now, with this work, every so often, yeah, some deep shit comes up, right? There's sometimes I'll be, meditating, or I do Reiki. If you guys have never had Reiki done, it's amazing. I would highly encourage it. It's phenomenal. I'll have some things that will come up or I'll experience and you're like, ooh, okay, that was deep. That was heavy, right? But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it's just like working a muscle, right? Like you can't expect to wake up one day from doing 0 push-ups to all of a sudden being able to do 50, right? You have to exercise that muscle every single day consistently, right? Even if you're not doing it every single day, like I'm not saying wake up and do, push-ups every single day, because we all know our muscles need a rest, right? They need time to repair and recover, but stay diligent and persistent and consistent over time so that eventually you can go from doing 0 push-ups to 10, to 20, to 30, to 40, to 50, right? And that's exactly how the art of shifting is. The art of shifting is just like working a muscle. Okay, and another example that I like to use for this is starting blocks. So if those of you guys, or if those of you have ever ran sports, you can really use any sport for this, right? But I'm going to use track for an example. You know, I used to do the 55-meter hurdles, and so a huge thing for us was coming out of those starter blocks, you know, with a lot of like oomph, right? Now, I didn't just like all of a sudden join track, run the 55-meter hurdles, and like know how to come out of the starting block, right? Like, it took a lot of practice. There were a lot of, you know, bruised knees, skin knees. A lot of times I freaking jumped over the hurdle and had like, you know, gouges in my shins, right? But in order for me to perfect my art, I had to perfect coming out of the blocks, because that's the leg up on someone, right? And it's like, you know, it's that that 0.01%, right? It's like the people that are in the Olympics, right? That do swimming. Like, are you going to be the person that trains just to get the bronze medal? Or are you going to train to be the person that makes that 0.001% of a change to get the gold medal, right? So it's like, it's persistence over time. It's consistency over time. And it's like doing the work to come out of the starting blocks, right? It's not easy. You're going to fall down. There's going to be a lot of bruised knees. There's going to be a lot of, you know, like bruises and hardship and falling down and getting back up. Falling down and getting back up. Fall down 7, get back up 8. I talked on my Instagram stories a little bit earlier about, you know, I can't even tell you how many times I've fallen down in my life, right? How many times I've failed, right? And I truly don't even believe in failure, because failure is always serving us. It's always teaching us a lesson. But I've always gotten back up. And that's the key, right? So just like coming out of the starting blocks, the first few times you try to do it, they try to perfect it, you're going to get a bruised knee, you're going to skin your knee, you're going to have, you know, bumped up shins if you did the 55-meter hurdles like I did, right? But eventually you're going to master it, and then you're going to win, and you're going to be at the finish line, and you're going to freaking feel good, and you're going to have your gold medal or whatever it is that you were shooting for, because you put in the work and you chose to get back up. That's the key. Just choose to get back up and hold the faith. It's the faith that gets you there. If you just stay focused on the starting block and falling, of course it's going to be easy to get back up. But focus on the finish line. Focus on that celebration. Focus on how good it's going to feel to be on the other side of that, doing your happy dance and celebrating with your team, with your people, with the people that cheered you on to get there, right? It's faith. It's hope. That's simply, magic is simply just believing in miracles. And it's having unwavering faith, okay? And with that being said, it comes down to just choosing your heart. It comes down to choosing your heart. Is it going to be harder to live, to change? Or is it going to be harder to live your life the way that you've been living it? Is it harder just to wake up day after day after day after day, affirming your same shitty reality that you have consistently said over and over again that you want to change but you're doing nothing about? Or are you going to choose to do the hard thing and maybe wake up every single day and it freaking feels really sucky when you start, but every day gets a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Before you know it, it's like washing your hands. It's like second nature. It's like brushing your teeth. And then all of a sudden you're doing the work and you're in the work, and you're not just in the work, you're living the work. And then by living the work, you're inspiring other people to do the work, right? And that's another thing for me is like, I know that sometimes and some days there's going to be some really shitty things that I'm going to have to share with my following, because I made a promise to my following that I will always show up 100% authentically, wholeheartedly as me, and I will always be transparent with my people, right? But I also know that it's because of you guys that I show up, because I know that on the other end of all that shit is going to be a really great miracle and a really great transformation story and a really great way to inspire other people. And so that just gives me more and more hope. Now, I want to make sure that I covered everything that everyone texted me, so I'm just going over my notes really quick because I had so many people asking me about this. Okay. And so before I wrap it, because I know this is getting a little long, thank you guys for sticking with me. And oh, thank you. I'm so glad you got your sound to work. I see lots of hearts. Thank you guys. Hi, Gabby. It's really hard to move energy that's been sitting for a really long time. Okay, think about it like concrete. Think about it like ice. Anything that's been sitting there stagnant is going to get hard. It's going to freeze, right? It's really hard to move stagnant energy. So if you've been carrying on to something that has been really heavy, really scary, really hard to work through. Now again, I teach spiritual, like I teach mindset, and I talk universal law. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, so please, like, I always like to give that disclaimer, right? Because, you know, sometimes people are working through really hard shit that, you know, truthfully, it's probably something that they would have to go and talk to an actual professional for, right? But a lot of these people, they've been sitting with those things for so long. And so when they start to up-level their lives, when they start to go to the next level, and they start to do this work, it feels really heavy. And what feels comfortable to them is to retreat, right? Because it's hard. It's bringing up a lot of really hard things, a lot of heavy things. But when you stay consistent and when you stay persistent, all of a sudden, it's like chipping away, right? Chipping away at that ice block, right? The more we move things, the easier it becomes. It's really hard to move energy that's been sitting for a really long time. But I promise you, the more that you keep doing it, the more that you keep doing the work, you keep shifting, and you keep focusing towards the next level and having unwavering faith that you will get there, it will get easier. Okay? So the art of shifting quickly simply comes down to just having unwavering faith and belief in yourself, and choosing to see yourself on the other side of the finish line, and not at the starting blocks when you're just trying to master coming out of them. See yourself at the finish line every single day, even when it's hard, even when it feels like it sucks, even when it feels like complete shit. See yourself at the finish line, because God gave you that vision for a reason. You didn't just make that up in your mind somewhere. God gave you that vision at the finish line. So whatever that finish line is for you, see yourself there, feel yourself there, and believe in yourself to get there. Okay? So I hope that this was of service to you guys today. I will get this uploaded to my IGTV. For those of you that are not on my email list, you guys can still hop on it. I shared some testimonials yesterday and a few of them today. I shared a bunch on my Facebook page today. It's just Jesslyn on Facebook, or you can go to my business page. It's Jesslyn Fitness. But there's still time to get on my email list. I've been sending out journal prompts along with the recordings via email to everyone that wants to really next level their mindset. And some of the people that have taken advantage of that and have been consistently showing up for the lives or watching the IGTVs have already seen some incredible magic happen in their life. And that's simply what I want for everyone, is just to come out of this 21-day life series with some sort of magic transformation in their life, no matter how big or how small. It's all magic. So I love you guys, and happy almost Friday. It's Friday's Eve. Woo, woo, woo. We're celebrating that. All right. Bye, guys.